We're on site at the 2025 Energy Open in Colstrip, Montana, talking with leaders, innovators, and community members about the economic impact of responsible energy development and what it means for Montana's future. And sitting with me now is Molly Schwend with NorthWestern Energy. Hi, Molly.
Hi.
Do you want to give us your role, what you do at NorthWestern?
Yeah, it's actually a recently new role. I'm the Community Relations Manager, and I'm out of the Billings Division.
Yeah, but you oversee a lot.
Yeah, in that role, I'm going to continue with dealing with our key accounts, which is our large power users, economic development, and business growth within the area.
Yeah, so for those listening that maybe aren't as familiar, what's a large power user? Like, what does that mean?
That's people over a megawatt. So those on your smaller scale are your colleges, moving up to hospitals, all the way up to, your big power users, your refineries, and whatnot throughout the state. So they're the ones who are taking a lot of our energy, some of it to create energy.
Okay. So since we're at the Energy Open, I have a few energy-related questions for you. So I'm just going to ask the first one, which is, what brings you to the Energy Open this year, and what are you most excited about?
Well, I cannot tell you how many years I've been attending the Energy Open. Starting back from when I was actually an engineer here in Colstrip, grew up in Colstrip.
Oh, so you're home.
I'm home.
You're home.
So when I worked here, we participated at Westmoreland. And I continued through different paths of being in the energy industry, coming to this. But, it's just a great way to showcase what Energy Hub Colstrip is and some of the opportunities the state faces with energy. And a great forum to have these conversations, to discuss some of the new opportunities, and to look towards the future, while kind of keeping in our history of the past that's forged us to get here. So.
Yeah, and NorthWestern Energy has some new roots here, if I'm not mistaken.
Not new,
but
yeah.
Reinvent. Yeah, what's the word?
We're adding, I guess.
Adding, okay,
to it.
good.
Yeah, and actually,
some
of the older roots is this whole town is Montana Power based. So even the mine and the power plant were one time Montana Power, which when that sold off, that was also the distribution side, which turned into NorthWestern Energy. The mine's gone its separate way in the plants, but we're all still kind of connected, and now we're going to be even more. We've had ownership into the 3 and 4 units that are still operating here in Colstrip, and as of the beginning of 2026, we are taking Avista and Puget Sound's shares at zero cost. It's going to be Montana Energy staying in Montana now and being able to be used for our customers. So we're excited to be larger owners in the energy in Montana and a bigger part of Colstrip.
Yeah, that's a big historical moment for you guys.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. And so since we are in Colstrip, who was your rival?
Central.
Oh, okay. I thought that might be the case.
And I was there back in the day of Class A, so it was a little bit different. I believe it's probably Forsyth now. Volleyball, it was always Hardin, but as my kids are Class A, everybody's rival, I feel, is Billings Central.
Yeah. I get it. Okay, my next question for you is, how does your work connect with Montana's energy industry and economic future? You kind of hit on it a little bit.
Yeah. But. So basically, it's the economic development. We're looking for new customers, but at the same time, we're trying to keep our customers that we have and keep them happy. So trying to find that way to balance our affordability, sustainability, and reliability is kind of our main points we're working towards, like I said, to keep our customers, but to grow that too. And my job is basically going out and promoting what we do, what we're doing, so that new businesses can see some opportunity for growth, but also what we're doing to keep those costs for the current customers low enough that, we understand prices are going up for everything, and most of us are customers as well. So it's an important part for our company as a whole, but me personally.
Yeah, individually too.
Yeah.
What do you think people maybe misunderstand or overlook about energy in Montana?
I think there's a really disconnect of when you go to flip on that switch, it just should be there. I don't think people
understand. We're so reliant, right?
Yeah. I don't think people understand all of the work and the technology it takes just to get to that house, and to keep it there, and some of the battles we have to face to do that. And part of the goal is to get that educational out there. Right now, we're in a situation we don't have these brownouts and blackouts that other states have, but when you live through that, we have a lot of people who've imported to the state of Montana who have. It changes your perspective on energy and the importance of it. if we can't provide the energy, it people actually lose their lives. I mean, the heat and the cold,
especially in Montana.
Those are extremes. You need that energy to keep life support going for especially the elderly and young and vulnerable. But I think the biggest is just that disconnect that it's magically there. We just expect it. We expect it. One of the things I think is funny, our CEO always talks about is a friend coming to his house and asking if he can use his charger for his cell phone, and our CEO Brian Bird says, "Yeah. Are you going to ask me if you can use the energy to power that cell phone?" Because people just it's just magic. It's just there. You're not thinking of it. It's not a cost. It's not how do we get it there? So. One of the things we're working through and hopefully trying to do a better job at.
Yeah, definitely. I remember growing up with power outages. So we had because of storms.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have a generator to kick your heat back on
And I'm a third generation in the company. And so my dad was the town manager here in Colstrip. Wow. So when the lights went out, we got the phone calls at our house and, I got to see that he was out all night working through storms in the most brutal weather. But the average person doesn't get to see that, and man, we've got some amazing linemen that
across the state.
They're just heroes. I mean, they really are. They don't get the credit that they really deserve. So
yeah, I think that's nice. I know some. You know a bunch. You guys employ a bunch.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so my last question for you is: if you could share one message with Montanans about the importance of energy to our economy, what would it be?
We really don't have an economy without the energy. We can't continue to grow. Everybody's wanting to be more sustainable and using better practices, and we really support that. We have great programs on sustainability and some programs on how to get rebates on all this stuff. But to make money, there is the cost of putting in the power, and we need to keep that at a low cost so these businesses can continue to run. But some of these businesses coming in, I know data centers are top of mind of everybody. That takes way more power than...
They're big power users.
They're insanely big power users. So I think what the average person really needs to understand is the balancing act of all of that on how can we bring in these bigger power users and still, reliably get power to all the current and smaller businesses. And I think we have a good crew who evaluates that on a daily level, and energy kind of runs the world. I know I'm in that world, but without us, you really can't have a business
or do much. Really,
yeah, you can't run your pivot sprint. You can't. I mean, it's an important part of the Montana economy.
Yeah. Well, Molly, thanks for joining us on the Vault on the Road.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, we're on site at the 2025 Energy Open in Colstrip, Montana, where today I'm going to let my guest introduce himself and who he works for.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Brant Johnson. I'm Senior Vice President of Development at Grid United. Grew up in Montana, grew up in Great Falls, graduated from Great Falls High School, and early days in North Dakota. So I'm working on a project up here connecting Montana and North Dakota. So it really has worked out great. Allowed me a chance to move back home. And
Brant, this is I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years, and as somebody that lives, farms, ranches, and has a passion for this community, I appreciate the project that you've brought to the community. It has truly created hope where hope was lost. It was such a bright announcement. Can you kind of discuss, and this is a very unique and detailed project, but give us a 10,000-foot level conversation on this.
Sure. Yeah, the North Plains Connector is the name of the project. It is a high-voltage DC project. What that means is you've got the eastern and western grids in the United States are asynchronous. They don't match up. They're not really meaningfully connected across a seam roughly along the Montana-North Dakota border all the way south to Texas. So the North Plains Connector will connect the eastern and western electric grids with a DC tie. It allows those two AC grids to talk to one another and essentially transport 3,000 megawatts, up to 3,000 megawatts across that seam, which more than doubles the transfer capacity across the seam in the United States. So great project for resiliency and stability in the grid. Bringing this DC technology into the United States electric grid is a great opportunity for the U.S. to sort of modernize and upgrade and meet some of the objectives of grid resiliency and stability that, regardless of your political persuasion, everybody recognizes is important.
Yeah, to me, it's the thought of undertaking such an incredible project. How did that start? How did that come about?
Yeah, great question. It really started after Winter Storm Uri back in 2021. It really highlighted some of the downfalls of not having meaningful interties across the grid. I was living in Texas at the time, and you had some real significant impacts. People died. Lots of money was lost. Really, with 2 days of real severe cold in Texas, which people are not prepared for, without having some ties across the grid. Texas, the grid went down, and a lot of people's homes froze, and people lost their lives. So, really highlighted the need for interties. So our owner decided to make his personal investment. He's an individual investor. How could he leverage capital to solve some of the problems that prevent interties from being developed? So that was really the impetus for doing these projects. So he formed the company, Grid United. I started when the company started in 2021, and this just happens to be the place where they wanted to do their first intertie.
I lucked out. How was that selected? I mean, interesting.
The reason that you pick Colstrip is because the grid is developed here.
Right.
So it provides a real connection to the west. And then on the eastern side in North Dakota, you have SPP and MISO, the regional transmission organizations. They're kind of crisscrossed in North Dakota. So you have an opportunity to connect both eastern grid organizations to the western grid by connecting Colstrip to the two entities in North Dakota.
And will explain to me, does this give, you often mention that this creates a 3.5 gig base load opportunity. Can you explain how that happens instead of creating a generation?
Yeah. So we're entirely focused on connecting the grid where the grid exists, and you can get those high value interties to connect regions. So you have interregional project like that without doing any generation. We are not a generation company. We're agnostic to electron types, just building the grid. So the opportunity to connect markets together means that effectively you can connect Colstrip over to Bismarck and connect to an entire collection of generation types over there, a big pool. So you can not worry about specific generation types and really connect to markets. So.
Well, I also know that you've done a lot of philanthropic work here. I think you're working with the Community Foundation. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's been a real win for us. I think that when we conceived of the project, we really do have a stakeholder forward approach. We wanted to make sure we spoke with all of the regulatory bodies, the environmental groups, the landowners, probably most importantly, who would be impacted by a project like this. So we have direct conversations with all those folks. We also knew that we wanted to have just a broader impact on the communities that we're going through, apart from those specific stakeholders directly affected by the project. So we partnered with the Montana Community Foundation, funding a pool of funds and allowing those funds to get dispersed through grants that are applied for by local nonprofits that the Community Foundation already has relationships with. So when we're putting money into a community, it's not based on some guesswork that we might have, but rather let the communities decide where that money needs to go. It's been really good.
And so this has been a public-private partnership, not just coming from the private investment, but you've also worked with Commerce and the Department of Energy, and there's some significant dollars in there that you mentioned Canon Lurkins helped you out with, which is exciting. But on top of the $700 million that came in from that, there's a $47 million economic impact that's going to go to the 3 counties to help with economic. What's your understanding of that?
Yeah. Well, I guess There's some I don't know in the answer to that question. There's when administrations changed this time, that was a program started under the prior administration. Whether that continues forward is
Sure. You can tell I've been out of the loop for a few months as well.
Is a question which may have been answered already. But when the federal government started looking at programs to see which ones they keep and which ones they take, we've been actively trying to emphasize that this project and the work in Colstrip is truly agnostic as to generation types. It's focused on the high value stability objectives of the current administration.
Right.
So it all makes sense. So they're working through the process on all of that stuff. We expect to be hearing sometime soon. We're optimistic. We've had great support from Montana and North Dakota delegations and talking with the Trump administration saying this is a project that's good for the grid, good for the country. So we'll see.
And I will say that everything I've heard is that this is a priority. So I feel very comfortable for this region and that it's going to continue to. We've got some pretty strong allies that are pushing this from our local legislators and from our federal legislatures. I also want to go back to you and I were talking about this is an exercise in patience. From the time the project started to the time the project is supposed to be completed, can you kind of walk us through that?
Sure. Yeah. So from the initial concept in September, I think, of 2021, we like to tie these two regions together. I've been working in energy infrastructure for 25 years, mostly as a lawyer, sometimes as a environment and land professional, but always on big linear projects. So coming into it with a number of battle wounds and a lot of years, we kind of made sure that if we're going to connect two areas and we don't have a route yet, that helps a lot. And then we've got the flexibility that we need. Let's design a process where we can go in and talk about stakeholder risk and come up with a route that will shorten the timeline, which usually can take up to, we've got projects right now that are sitting out 15, 20 years. So we can shorten the timeline to get to a permit and to get to construction by reducing some of the objections that frequently follow a large transmission project like this. So what we've tried to do is make sure that we didn't file anything until we'd talked to every landowner about the potential route on their property, have a conversation, see if we can move the route, and we did over 300 route changes at this point.
Wow.
So that's the kind of a patience it takes to try and just really lean in on stakeholder work. A couple years of stakeholder work, all the environmental surveys, reroutes, changes, landowner requested reroutes, changes. So when we finally do file a route, which we filed last year, this is a route that we think has had some really solid environmental and landowner and stakeholder input. So when it goes through the regulatory process, we hope that people have seen this before, that it doesn't come as a big surprise to anybody. And we know it won't surprise any landowners or directly affected stakeholders, and hopefully that shortens that timeline. But you do have to be extremely patient. It takes a lot of shoe leather. I was living in Houston when we started this. I live in Montana now after 3 years, and I can't tell you how many airplane trips back and forth.
Sure.
Made sense to just move up, and because you do spend a lot of time on the ground. Sure. And in the communities, and I think that's how you do linear infrastructure today. You make sure that you're talking with everyone and being respectful and being in the communities that you're impacting, and it really has worked out well. So I feel good about where we are. I think that we are on track to get our permits here at the end of 2026. We've got great partnerships from all the regulatory bodies. They're working with us to try and make sure that this stays on track to get our permits, and then we start working on the real work of construction and all of the things that will put it in the ground.
Well, I think that a partnership is a great word to use here, because if you ever do feel like you're starting to slow down, you always got the Energizer Bunny and Jim Atchison to get you back up. It's like an instant shot of a double espresso with that guy.
That's neat, great. Yeah.
Brand, I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with us today at the Energy Open. And good luck in the future, and I'll be back next year to see another update.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Nick, we're at the Energy Open in Colstrip today.
Yeah.
Excited to chat with you a little bit about why you're here, what brought you here. But before we do that, do you want to just introduce yourself really quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Nick Pancheau. I'm president, CEO of Collaborative Design Architects based in Billings, licensed in 10 or 11 states now.
Wow.
Kind of working across the West. We're a relationship-based firm, so we work with clients that have been clients for a long time, and they take us wherever they need us, and that's really fun.
Yeah, that is fun. And by night, you're also our Big Sky Economic Development.
Almost forgot. I sit on the board at Big Sky Economic Development. Been on the board for a number of years now. I'm the current EDC board chair, the private side.
Yeah.
And it's been just a really enjoyable term so far.
Mm-hmm. Good. We loved having you. So I have a couple questions we want to ask. So my first one is, what brings you to the Energy Open this year, and what are you most excited about?
Yeah, this is my 4th or 5th year
Wow,
here at the Energy
okay.
Open. My family homesteaded in this area, just down the highway here, Armells Creek. So there's a lot of family history in the area, and
Deep roots.
I just named my 6th child.
Congratulations.
Baby Earl, after my great-great-grandfather, who was born here in this area. So deep roots. My grandfather,
special.
he worked as an electrician back in the 70s. So he was part of wiring the power plants here. He worked on Yellowtail Dam, some of those projects. So as a kid, I remember hearing the construction stories and kind of the lore of him working on these big infrastructure projects back as Montana was really coming into its own. So when I think about Colstrip and its place in Montana's economy and how we build the economy, that history for me is really important. And this is one of those events that's you kind of have to know about it to get down here and to hit the right dates. It's not there's not a lot of news stations in Billings reporting that this event is coming up. So when we kind of discovered that, hey, Colstrip is number of years ago, we had some challenges in Colstrip around what the future of Colstrip as a community is. Challenges around the energy landscape, the coal landscape, and what the community of Colstrip was going to do if some of these possibilities came to fruition. So for us, it was important to get involved in the conversation, to hear what was going on, and that's part of what led us to start coming down here, sponsoring the Energy Open, working with Jim Atchison and his group. That also led to us getting involved with the new Business Innovation Center.
That you guys are.
Yeah, that we're the architect for. So we've got that now under construction, and it's just really exciting to see Colstrip kind of now. What does Jim say? It's something like Colstrip is moving from a coal energy hub to an energy hub with coal, and that's kind of really a cool transition to see. And it's neat to be a little part, again, kind of tying that family history piece back through.
Yeah, you have deep roots here, and to work here and be here is probably it's an exciting.
Yeah, it's fun to talk to my grandpa on the phone and let him know.
Well,
hey,
he's the one that did some of the work here.
Yeah, right.
Which is really special. So, okay, my next question for you is, how does your work connect? Which we talked about, but just on a broader text of how does your work connect with Montana's energy industry and economic future?
Yeah,
you're the builders.
Energy in this economy, in this market now is really everything. It's the backbone. It's one of those what we call horizontal infrastructure pieces that you don't really think about when you're working in urbanized areas. The assumption in an urban area as an architect is that we have access to water, sewer, easy gas, electricity, data, fiber. Like all those things are kind of a foregone conclusion. And what we don't realize is when we get out into the rural places in Montana, those things are not a foregone conclusion. And having access to them, it's really how communities grow. Do we have enough energy to serve this economic interest that's coming into our community? And that takes shape in a lot of different ways. There could be a business that wants to move to your community that aligns with your vision and your values as a community. would bring jobs, would bring prosperity to your community. That creates philanthropists in the future. It creates people that are giving back and investing in communities. And if you get kind of stranded and we don't have the power to serve that, that becomes a challenge for communities in Montana. So when we come to an event like this, we look at base load power that's provided by coal. Yep. That's really, really important part to understand. That's really important for how Montana functions and really how Montana has opportunity to be part of a larger picture in energy in the United States. Colstrip sits at this intersection between the eastern and western grid and can serve as a connector between those two with this Grid United project we're hearing about. We're hearing from Gain at this event about small nuclear reactors and what or small modular reactors, what the future of those is, what possibilities exist there.
Timelines.
So it's an exciting time to be part of thinking about what happens in this place in the future. How is Montana part of that at the really local scale, and then what does that look like at the broader scale?
Yeah, very interesting, and I think it's all happening here, kind of stemming out of Colstrip, as Jim says, the energy hub. So what do you think is something that maybe people misunderstand or overlook about energy in Montana?
I mean, it's not easy, and I think in our environment right now, it's been a foregone conclusion that it would just be there. Someone did it before us, or certainly before my generation. They put that infrastructure in place, and we've been using it, and it's kind of interesting. There's maybe a paradox right now in as we as architects look for how do we make buildings more efficient? How do we use the resources that we have available in a more efficient way? Use less energy. Our net energy usage as a nation is increasing, and it's increasing at a rate that exceeds our population growth. So the demographics and the energy usage are not tracking one-to-one. Energy's on a different path. So, and that a lot of that's related back to AI and data centers and the explosion of the internet and all of those pieces. And I just think it's interesting to look at
that's a good point.
How those things intersect.
Or even cars, like plugging them in instead of gas. I mean, they're that's using a lot of energy to power them.
Yeah, correct. The energy comes from somewhere, and it puts Montana at the nexus of a lot of these conversations around energy production. Where do we get good, clean, reliable energy? In Montana, we have a lot of minerals and mineral mining. So conversations around the energy that it takes to charge electric vehicles is largely transmitted over copper transmission lines. Copper is mined somewhere, and we've got communities like Butte that bear the scars of what that can look like, and we've got new opportunities for copper mining in Montana that are hoping to maybe turn a new leaf and do it in a different way. And those are really kind of salient conversations that are going on across our state right now.
Yeah, we're very resource heavy, natural resource heavy, which is beneficial for us in the energy conversation. My last question for you is if you could share one message with Montanans about the importance of energy to our economy, what would it be?
I like this idea that we're a all of the above energy
I like that.
Supplier in Montana, and I think that's a message that I've heard from our local energy companies, both NorthWestern Energy and from Yellowstone Valley Electric Co-op. They're really looking at portfolios that include all the above energy. So that's our baseload coal, and then that's also our renewables in the hydroelectric. And wind power, solar, all of those pieces are part of the puzzle.
Diversification,
So diversifying there. And then I just think we need to continue, maybe the message is we need to continue to have an open mind about what energy looks like in the future. So opportunities for nuclear. What do small modular reactors look like if they're deployed in Montana right now?
What's the timeline cost?
What's the timeline cost, implications down the line? Those are important things to consider, but just the big picture that energy use is increasing, and we if we don't get in front of it, we're going to get left behind. And as someone who loves economic development, really interested in economic development in our area, we can't get left behind in this area.
No, not if we want to continue to grow, develop thoughtfully.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Well, Nick, thanks for the chat today. It's great to see you here.
Yeah, good to be here.
Thanks.
I'm here today with one of my favorite people from Commerce. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Thanks, Paul. My name is Cannon Lurkins. I'm the Industry Development Manager at the Montana Department of Commerce, and in that role, I do a wide variety of things. I focus on a lot of different sectors, but one of the most kind of exciting sectors that I get to work on is energy transmission and production, which just has so many implications for our economy, for our people, for everything. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Oh, absolutely. When I first came on as the director, there was a scurry of energy and there was so much going on. And I was like, hey, what's going on? The RIS group is working on a grant that has to get out in the next 12 hours for, what was that, $45 million for the headwaters.
Yeah, there was kind of a flood of grants. There was a $41 million grant for the Headwaters Tech Hub through the EDA. We were working on the GRIP grant, which we originally applied for $1 billion, which I don't use the B word that much, but we asked for $1 billion. We got $700 million for that, and we also submitted a grant for $47 million for the TSED, which is economic development for places that are impacted by interstate transmission.
And that was all within 30 days.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy times. It was probably right about 30 days. Might have been a hair more than that, but probably under 40 days. It was a flood of work right then. And
all of those that the Commerce was awarded, I have to say, made me look real good.
Yeah,
right
it was. That was good for you. You had a lot of big wins right from the beginning. We were letting you know about the wins.
Yeah, I'm like, it's this easy. I walk in and here's $1 billion. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, it was. I think as everybody knows, there was just a flood of federal money at the time, and we felt that it was really our responsibility to go after as much of that as we could. I always say we got lucky in it. It was timing, it was luck, it was hard work, it was all those things coming together at the same time. But I do feel very lucky that we were awarded those grants.
I couldn't agree more. It's, some of the things that I've always worked on is being from this area. We're always fighting to save the Colstrip area. And the $700 million Grid United just kind of put this Northern Plains connector over the top to move forward with that. So, that was personally, I want to thank you for being a part of that, because it's a very special place for me. I farm and ranch about 26 miles as the crow flies from here. So I'm kind of in the shadows of this area. Tell me about going after that. I mean, you and I talked about how it was the largest one that you'd ever went after. Just tell me the thought process of that.
Well, I felt, again, to use the word luck, Grid United, the private developer working on this, they're a fantastic company to work with. And they approached us, it was honestly, it was pretty funny. It was like late December, might have been 2023. And they gave me a call and said, hey, do you want to submit a concept paper? It's due in 7 days. And I said, sure. And they asked me, they said, do you need to ask anyone about that? And I said, I don't think so. I don't see why we wouldn't. It's just a concept paper. There's no commitment there. And they later said that one of the big reasons that we could move forward was the ability to make that quick decision. So I think that's a big part of why we got to do that. I knew that I kind of had support in moving forward with that. And so we submitted that. We really did have just 7 days. And then that was accepted, and then we had a couple of months to put together the full application. But it was a lot of work from Commerce, but Grid United did a lot of the heavy lifting on that. And of course, we could not have done it without a strong private partner in that.
Yeah. Over here on the eastern side, we've got an amazing cheerleader in Jim Atchison, but you also have on the western side a pretty amazing cheerleader in Mary Craigle. I kind of look at them in the same vein, both workhorses. And what's it like working for her?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Mary Craigle is a fantastic person to work for, and we work very collaborative. She is my boss, but we work very collaboratively on these projects. We, I think, both have pretty good judgment and also kind of some risk tolerance. So I think that we try to go after things, see what could work, and then, sometimes figure out the details later. that happens. But also, I was able to say yes to Grid United when they approached us because I knew I had the support of her, and she's a fantastic person to work for. She's an amazing mentor, and I feel very lucky to be where I'm at.
I have to say my interactions with Mary and to you as well, I appreciate the thought process of it. Sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than to attain permission, but I don't know that you ever came to me with a project that I wasn't just as excited and knew that the chances for success. It's hard to get one of these. I mean, you were wins one right after the other. I mean, that was special.
Yeah, the timing was kind of funny on that. I mean, I felt like I was sending emails pretty frequently that looked like jokes sometimes that we got this, a $700 million grant. It felt weird sending that email. I mean, I'd also say there were plenty of opportunities that didn't come through. We had grants that weren't funded. So, we were swinging at a lot of stuff at that time, and it's pretty amazing to have these come through.
And your office does more than just grants. You've put together the new map on the infrastructure that helps us when we're looking at business recruitment and development. What's kind of the hot thing going on right now?
I'd say, some of the stuff that I'm most excited about is kind of advanced technology, both in kind of energy production, but just as well as advanced manufacturing. We have the strong photonics cluster in Montana that along with quantum computing and the way that those sectors kind of intersect is really exciting for Montana. I see that as something that is going to be household words here in 5 and 10 years. Like, we're going to talk about quantum computers and the way that is going to speed up the algorithms that we use, the way that it's going to be able to just make complex, accurate predictions extremely quickly. I think that, we all talk about AI and that's doing in our lives, but when that is kind of coupled with quantum computers, I think that is going to be a game-changing technology that everyone is going to feel, in 10 years, we're going to use computers differently because of that. So I think that's something that's really exciting for me.
You are without a doubt one of the most intelligent people I know, but you just had a celebration here recently. You want to acknowledge anybody that just something very important just happened? A graduation?
Oh, my wife. Sorry, I was on this. I was like, are we pregnant? No, my wife just completed her PhD. So I'm very proud of her in doing that. It was tough. We have kind of young kids. Life's pretty busy, and I'm super proud of what she accomplished.
Yeah, I would have to say that's sitting around your dinner table with some of these conversations. If I ever come over, I'll just take the kids out to the playground and you guys can sit and talk, because I'm not really going to be able to keep up.
Oh, no. We honestly don't talk about work very much. We have plenty of logistics to talk about. That's usually, we have a kind of an agenda for dinner conversation, figuring out what we're doing. We don't get into some of the interesting stuff most of the time.
Not like when you're making spaghetti, you don't happen to slide in some sort of quantum or photonics conversations?
No, not very much. We honestly, I think sometimes we get filled up with that at work, and we just want to talk about regular things. Yeah.
Sure. Well, Cannon, thanks for sitting down with me today. Once again, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. You've been a very special person in my career when I was at Commerce, and I look forward to seeing what life has for you in the future.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Paul. It's great to sit down with you as well, and thanks for having me on today.
Thanks.
Do you want to just introduce yourself? Tell us who you are.
My name is John Williams. I'm the mayor of the city of Colstrip.
Thanks for joining us. I have some fun energy questions. So today we're at the Energy Open in Colstrip, so thanks for having us in your community.
Okay.
And my first question, which is obvious since you are here, but what brings you to the Energy Open this year, and what are you excited about?
Well, I'm excited about all the people that are here talking about energy, of course.
Of course.
And it's great. It's great to have this. Jim Atchison put this on, and this is the 22nd year that we've been involved with the Energy Open, and
wow.
We always have a great group of informational people involved with energy development. It's just a super time for Colstrip, and we're excited to have everybody here and to listen to what's going on across the state of the interest in energy development, and particularly with what's happening here in Colstrip. It's an exciting time for Colstrip.
Yeah, you guys have a lot going on. Jim's been referring to it as an energy hub, which I think is so exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got a lot. We've had a lot of good things occurring, and we're looking towards a real bright future for the city of Colstrip and for the community of Colstrip and all the activities that are going on here in southeastern Montana.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what do you guys have going on?
Well, of course,
in addition to this event.
Of course, Grid United is here. They're talking about the direct current, high voltage transmission line that's going to be in the process of the development of the permitting and those types of things right now, and they're looking towards the beginning of the construction of that transmission line that will go east of Colstrip and connect with the Eastern Intertie, and they're talking about the construction of that actually beginning in 2028. So we're really excited about Grid United being here.
And that's just right around the corner.
Oh, absolutely. It's not that far.
It's
not that far out there. And of course, with NorthWestern Energy is going to be acquiring additional ownership of the units 3 and 4, or they're going to be acquiring the ownership of Puget and Avista. And that's going to occur the first part of 2026. So we're very excited to have a Montana company back in the majority of ownership of units 3 and 4. The announcement of that Senator Daines had with the lessening of the constrictive activities associated with the being able to continue to mine coal in Montana for out into the undefinable future. That was an exciting announcement today that the senator made, and I guess that actually occurred a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. That it's a bright future for our community.
Yeah, you guys have a lot going on. So my next question is, what do you think people maybe misunderstand or overlook about energy in the state of Montana?
Oh, I think that what they miss out on being involved with or understanding is the future that reliable energy occurring right here in eastern Montana, in Colstrip, and the opportunities that are here for the continuing future of the state of Montana. We've heard a lot of negativity out there on the closure of the mining and the closure of the plants, and now that has been completely turned around with some of the announcements that have been made, particularly with the Trump administration, with the lessening of negativity regarding the cheap energy development, and we're going to be very actively involved with it here in Colstrip.
Yeah, and my last question for you is if you could share one message with Montanans about the importance of energy to our economy, what would it be?
Oh, wow, that's a great question.
It's a good last question, I thought.
Reliable energy, efficiently, not only reliable, but I think the environmental future of clean energy, the continuation of that's going to occur in Montana, and the tremendous wealth and jobs that will be continued to be created here for the future of our state. We're looking at, like I said earlier in my comments, we're looking at a very bright future for Colstrip, certainly, but also for the state of Montana.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, and thanks for having us in Colstrip this
Well,
week.
thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity. One of the favorite things I have is talking about energy, and particularly with Colstrip, Montana, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, hello. This is Paul Green. I'm on the road with the Vault podcast. I'm here today in Colstrip at the 2025 Energy Opening. That's been an annual thing here that always excited to come to. I'm here today with, well, I'll let the Master of Ceremonies introduce himself.
Well, hello, Paul. My name is Jim Atchison. I'm the Executive Director of Southeastern Montana Development based here in Colstrip, but we are a regional economic development group that covers 4 counties in southeastern Montana: Custer, Rosebud, Powder River, and Treasure.
Jim, I've known you almost 25 years, and I've seen you go through some pretty dark days here in Colstrip. The last 2 years, it has been such a joy to see the look on your face, the perma-grin that you're wearing. Can you kind of walk us through your journey here?
Wow, where do you start? Well, it's been a journey. It's been, a lot of ups and downs, but you always have to kind of keep looking to the future. I've been here about 24, 25 years, and it's been kind of rough at times, but we've always been kind of very positive on the opportunities that have always been around. And lately, in the last few years, and I want to start back in 17, which is 8 years ago, we came out with a diversification strategy for this community because of the clean power plan that was coming out of Washington, and it was really, really scared the heck out of the people in Colstrip and the energy industry around the country. So we came up with a diversification strategy. That's a whole nother story, but identified 5 or 6 key things, but we were very excited about it because it kind of gave us a roadmap. And ironically, this is a energy community, the number one item back then that the community wanted was additional broadband capacity. So it wasn't dig more coal, burn more coal, even though that's very, very much needed and popular and supportive. But broadband capacity was the number one thing, and I'm happy to report that was in 17. Happy to report in 2024, Range Telephone and a lot of other people, including the state of Montana and SEMDC, were able to put about $10 million in the ground in fiber optics cable in this community and about $8 million in 4 sites. So we're very excited about that. But it took a while. But you always keep your chin up and keep moving forward towards a goal. And even when it's raining and the thunder clouds, the hailstorms on the horizon, it's coming, and, what do you do?
Jim, you have, in between my times in economic development, your passion for this black lump of coal is something to behold. However, what I'm most impressed is you've changed. You still have the passion. You still understand. I mean, we have $1.7 billion in the coal trust that funds the entire state. Right. People don't recognize that, they're fairly. There's nothing wrong with not understanding it, where the funding comes for conservation, for all these things, but you've changed your mantra. I heard somebody say that you have a new motto, and I'm going to let you say it. It's not. It's an energy hub.
That. Okay.
Yeah,
well, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, because a lot of this is we speak it and believe it and feel it daily. So I wasn't sure what you were actually hitting on, but Colstrip is obviously a coal hub.
Yes.
And we back in 2017, 2018, we realized that there were some possibilities of not just nuclear renewables, but we call them value-added energy. Just like value-added ag is so important in our state, value-added energy commercialization opportunities are huge.
Yeah.
We were just talking about coal ash opportunities in nuclear and now transmission, and there's a plethora of other things percolating. So, yeah, Colstrip is evolving from a coal hub into an energy hub, supplementing with coal. So we don't want coal to go away.
No.
And we hope for 15, 20 years we're going to need coal, and Montana has more coal than any other state in the country. So why not use it?
And now you have a new project that's come about in the last year and a half that has been announced, that the imminent demise of the generating facilities here have breathed new life into it. Can you kind of explain how the Grid United project is helping revive this community? Yeah,
Grid United, if you're not aware of what Paul is referring to, is a $4 billion transmission project, basically from Colstrip up through Custer County, Fallon County, into North Dakota, all the way to Bismarck, North Dakota area. It's going to basically connect the two grids together, and in some cases a third grid. And so we're very excited about that, and that's part of that evolution into a energy hub, and making Colstrip and southeastern Montana more viable and add value to being here. And I think it'll revolutionize the markets, the economies in Baker and Miles City and Colstrip. And of course, this is really going to help Yellowstone County and Billings because of the supply chain. We don't have the housing here. We don't have the workforce. We don't have a lot of the supply chain things. So a lot of that is going to be relied upon or partnered with companies coming out of Billings. And we understand that, and we're very excited as a regional hub. This isn't just Colstrip. This is the whole region, and in some cases all the way to Helena. So,
Jim, I've always appreciated how you've championed the industry, how you've championed so many different things, and this Energy Open is always a fun thing to come to. But there's another champion of Colstrip who's not able to make it here today. You want to kind of speak?
I believe you're referring to Senator Dwayne Ankeny. And Dwayne and I have been buddies for a long time. He's a big supporter of energy and coal and Colstrip, and he is not feeling that well, and so he's not here at the Open this year, first time in 20-some years. So we miss Dwayne, and we'll talk a little bit more about him tonight at the banquet. But his spirit, and even though he isn't feeling well, is here today, and has set the foundation for a lot of the things that we're talking about, especially nuclear. He was a big proponent of the nuclear people coming to Colstrip back in October of 22. So
his ability to see the vision and to be able to navigate a legislative. I mean, how many sessions was he in?
Many.
Yeah.
Many in the House and the Senate side.
Yeah.
So
and he has championed that. He's seen that. I think that he's been, without a doubt, one of the most powerful names in the Energy Committee that I actually served on as well. And there's not many times that you can go through a session without mentioning his name. And,
correct.
And to see him when NorthWestern announced the purchase of Puget Sound, that was
right.
He was there for Colstrip days. Just having him not here seems to be a big absence.
Absolutely. We miss him a lot. We hope he'll be back in the future, but his presence will be here for many, many years, and will be felt not only in the industry, but statewide.
Jim, I would agree. Jim, you and I are starting to work on working regionally, understanding that we work better together, that we both have strengths, and by working together, that we're going to be doing a lot better things. That what happens in Colstrip definitely impacts Yellowstone County and Yellowstone County vice versa. And I want to let you know I appreciate your partnership. I appreciate your friendship over these number of years. Is there anything that you want to say as we start to look at developing more of a regional partnership where we work together?
Well, it's, economic development is a team sport, and those that think that they're, can do it by themselves are mistaken. And there's obviously some lightning that hits once in a while, but for long-term sustainable growth and stability in a region economically, you have to have partners, you have to have friends, and I value that with you and the people in Billings, and because it is a team deal. But frankly, I've never been more excited about the future of Colstrip and Rosebud County than I am today after 20-some years. So,
Jim, nobody deserves it more than you, my friend.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for being on.
You betcha. Anytime.
Hi, we're at the Energy Open and would love to have you just introduce yourself really quick, and then I have some questions to ask you.
Excellent. I'm Christine King. I'm the director for the Gateway for Accelerated Innovation in Nuclear. That's a lot.
That is a lot. It sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, but I wish they had named it something different.
Yes.
So we go by the acronym GAIN.
Okay.
And we are an initiative of the Department of Energy, Office of Nuclear Energy.
Wow.
And our main focus is to help what we know about nuclear energy be used and useful to stakeholders who are considering new nuclear today.
Wow. So we're at the Energy Open in Colstrip.
Yes.
What motivated you and what makes you excited about being here in Colstrip for the Energy Open?
Okay, so first of all, I have tried to make it to the Energy Open for 3 years running.
Okay.
So
here we are. First time.
Finally made it.
Yeah.
I get to play golf tomorrow. What I'm really excited about is we've been working with the economic development team here in Colstrip since they started the feasibility studies at a state level considering nuclear energy. And so I'm excited to continue that conversation. We just wrapped up a study partnering with NorthWestern Energy, looking at the feasibility of nuclear energy here at Colstrip, which allows us to consider what the future of energy might be after coal retires.
Mm-hmm. That's exciting, like big, exciting thing. So my next question is, how does your work connect with Montana's energy industry and our economic future? You touched on it a little, but just a little more in depth.
Yeah, so our work is really helping those that are exploring nuclear energy find factual information such that to make the decisions that you're trying to make, whether it's setting new policy or considering different technologies or planning for the economic impact. A big part of the study we just did was not only looking at the number of jobs for the coal station and the supply chain while you're operating a new nuclear station, but considering the number of jobs you need and what that spike looks like during construction. The other thing I do a lot of is helping states understand what's going on in the state adjacent to them. Because I believe as we go forward, nuclear energy is going to require cross-state partnerships in terms of the development of the workforce. So we have 94 operating reactors in the United States today. Most of those will continue to operate into the 2070 time period.
Wow.
So if we start building new nuclear plants in the 2030s and the 2040s, we have to recruit an entire new workforce to this power plant. And so that's where it's also important is to understand where that, for a state, where that economic impact can, where that economic investment can make the most impact in their state too.
So what are some things about Montana that you've noticed? Because I'm assuming you're out of state, right? Maybe?
I am.
Yeah, okay. If it's the first time in Colstrip, okay.
Yeah, so what I've noticed, especially as you drive east from Billings, right, is the open land and the ranches that you drive past. And I think about some of the comments that I've heard in Kentucky. So they're the bluegrass state.
Okay.
And so as they consider adding to their generation, they haven't been happy about seeing solar panels and windmills and things like that. The other thing that I think is exciting about Montana is the transmission projects that are going on here. We heard this morning from Grid United. building east and connecting our grids to the east is going to be incredibly helpful for power in the west. We don't have as many nodes.
Yeah.
They're coming
so they're
for
coming.
lunch.
We can hear it, but I think we can keep on our conversation. I just have a couple more questions. So, what do you think people maybe misunderstand or overlook about energy in the state of Montana?
So I think we've heard a lot about, especially in eastern Montana, the potential for renewables, and I'm not dismissing that. There absolutely is a significant potential for renewable development. But what most people miss about energy just in general is that it's a balancing act. And just like you're sending your teenagers out the door and you say, make good choices or keep all your options open, it's exactly...
Make good choices.
Yeah, make good choices. We're building a new generating system a new energy system for the next generation.
Yeah.
We're operating an energy system that the last generation built for us.
And we're building that for the future.
Right. So as we build out, diversification matters because in certain situations, every technology has its pros and cons. In some situations, one technology is going to be better than the other. So that's what I think we miss. We tend to stay in our silos.
Yeah.
And what we really need to do is be breaking out of those silos and really be thinking about that next generation. And how do we spend our dollars today that set them up for the future?
And for you, what does that look like? If it's like you can wave a magic wand, what is that? Like, what would be like a couple of those things that you're like, if we do these few things, like, we'll set the next generation up well?
So first of all, I think if you want to build anything, you should be looking at our brownfield sites or plants that we're going to retire or age out, okay? One, don't retire too early, okay? We're already seeing stress on the grid.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is also making a smart transition, we need to continue to keep our eye on the reliability of our grid as we transition to whatever that new system might be. And then I think we also use the assets we have and think about when you look at Colstrip, and we're going to get to go on a tour. I've been on this tour before. The community facilities that come from having an industrial facility like the power plants that are here and the mining that is here, that quality of life should not be dismissed. And so when we think about new investments as a nation and as a state, I think we need to think about the places where it can have the biggest impact.
That's really a powerful statement. Yeah, that's really powerful. To be honest, I'm from Montana. This is my brother worked here in the mine, but he was always like, no, don't come. And I hadn't been here, and I've been I did a quick little driving tour, and it's impressive. And I think that quality of life piece is really big too. And I think you really see that here in Colstrip.
Oh, absolutely.
Beautiful trails, everything is very neat and well kept. They have the little lake.
The high school here, the auditorium we're in this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, these are beautiful facilities. I live in San Jose, California.
Okay.
My son's school is not this nice.
Yeah. We have some nice, And growing up in kind of a smaller, Colstrip's a smaller town, and just to have that community feeling, I think is really special. Yeah. My last question for you is, let me find it, is if you could share one short message with Montanans about the importance of energy to our economy, what would it be?
There's a lot of discussion today about energy. There's a lot of discussion about how much data centers need. We have a need. We have a growing load profile. We have increased need for energy before the data center needs came along.
And they're not even here yet.
And they're not here. Right. So even if we start to see data centers landing in other states or those types of things, you still have load growth here that needs to be managed and handled and planned for.
Which I think the diversification you talked a little bit about is helpful to that, but also Montana, as you know, and other states you likely work in, our weather, right? Like,
yes.
is from one extreme to the next. It'll be really hot, right? Like 100 plus to then negative 40. And you need the power just for your individual homes and people that live in your communities, and knowing that like when it is that cold, that you have heat
yes,
too. And so
absolutely.
the diversification of it'd be great to have, things that are just maybe a little different, but you need that reliability too, which I think
absolutely.
is a huge factor.
And, I think it's, learn a little bit about how the energy system works. Poke a little bit at people that are trying to sell you something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make them explain how this supports our daily lives. How does this support us when we have extreme weather events, or up here might be a regular weather event.
Yes, it might be.
In the West, we have to be mindful of water use. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yep.
And so, as any of those technologies come forward, everyone should be asking that question. Water is a finite resource that we need to be mindful of its use.
Yep. Well, thank you for joining. So, knowing that you're representing from
Idaho National Labs.
Yes. Where can people maybe connect with you or learn more about the work you guys are doing?
So we have a website, gain.inl.gov. All of our phone numbers and emails are out there.
Great.
Part of our job is being available and answering questions, and so feel free to reach out. We all work across all the national labs.
Yeah.
So most folks don't know we have 17 national labs in the United States, and they all have different expertise and different groups of nerds.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a particular type of nerd, I can help you find it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for answering and hanging out with us today at the Energy Open.
Sure.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to The Vault. Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway, or Instagram at TheVault_201. Or check us out on our website, thevault@201.com, where you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter. See you next time.